Shut up and sit down.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to the Midnight Showing. I'm Dan Connors.
And I'm Bayless Tunnicliffe.
Just a quick disclaimer, we don't like to hold anything back in our conversation here about the movie. We like to go in with just our initial thoughts on the movie and not have a whole lot of pre-planned review and just kind of talk about what we liked about it or didn't like. So this showing, we watched Ant-Man and the Wasp, the sequel to the first Ant-Man movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Okay, so I actually did not see the first movie in this what do you call it, series? Not a franchise. That's like Marvel, right? So
well, yeah, series would be Ant-Man, franchise would be Marvel.
Okay, so series, yeah.
Well,
so I did not see
whatever.
the first Ant-Man.
Which that's surprising because like everybody saw it because it was kind of like Guardians, where it was this kind of fresh spin of a palette cleansing instead of the dark and gloomy kind of intense plot heavy, and then this one in Guardians was kind of supposed to be very lighthearted and let's just have fun. So I'm surprised you didn't see it.
Well, if that's the case, then it makes a lot of sense because I don't know. I feel like both of these series, the Guardians and Ant-Man, both kind of tripped a little on the second of the films.
So you didn't really like this one, even though you didn't see the first one?
No, I really... This one was really... I was thinking about this. If I was someone who had seen the first one, I would have been upset that there's so much exposition. But then also, the exposition didn't really even help me to get on board.
Oh,
so they should have just gone ahead with it, you know? Because you got to make that decision. Do we care if people haven't seen the first film? You know, should we account for those people?
Which is weird because Marvel's been doing that lately. Like now that they know that they have everyone in this loop of, okay, we know everybody's going to see Marvel movies. They've been doing that, especially with like Infinity War. They kind of don't feel the need to explain a whole lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And I thought that was kind of weird about like how much exposition is in this movie and explaining of what happened, because they've been so like going away from that. Of being like, okay, we got to remind the audience. I mean, reminders is different, but this one didn't feel like a reminder. It felt like they were like lecturing us as to what happened in the first one and then what happened in Civil War. This one happened at the same time of Infinity War, so you didn't get really like an explanation of that. But there was a lot of explanation of like the first Ant-Man and Civil War. Yeah, in this one.
Which, I mean, from having seen Infinity War, they were talking about it. They were like, oh, this guy's on parole. But then you look at it. It's literally just, when you get explained of it, it's literally just this, like, dude who's keeping him there because, I mean, admittedly, it was like a Germany thing. Like, they didn't want to piss off Germany.
It was house arrest.
Well, yeah, but it's still weird. Like, think about it. Infinity War, like, you know, the largest man alive. Well, not the largest man. I guess, you know, Thanos.
I mean, he is a large man.
He's a very large man. I don't know. Are they men if they're not like humans?
They're Titans.
Oh.
I think it's different.
But yeah, you know, this guy's collecting all the Infinity Stones and like they just decide not to.
Most of the world like didn't know that.
I guess
because they just attacked like New York and then they left.
Yeah, that makes sense, I guess. Well, not only did I feel it was too much exposition, it was so much science talk. All the freaking time.
Yeah.
And you know, it's like, okay, throw in a science reference here so we are still of the mind that this is not magic, this is all science. They're doing the but half the time they're just throwing out the word quantum. Like, you know, and
they even made a joke.
Yeah, they even made a joke about it. But it's like it's too self-aware. You know what I mean? It's like almost like they skidded into the curve because they were like, "Hey, we're going to make a joke about it. So we're going to actually put in a bunch of..." And it's like, "No. You can do that quippy thing, but then never say the word quantum for the rest of the film." You know?
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to hear that shit anymore. You've just alerted me to the fact, wow, 30% of those words in that, like, 5 sentences were quantum. So maybe I don't want to hear that word ever again. I don't know.
Well, that is different than exposition. Like, I get what you're saying. Is there was a ton of, like,
it was just
let's explain what's happening without, like, actually explaining it.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, we're doing this science-y stuff.
And it took up a lot of time.
But the exposition was a big thing for me. So going back to like what you were saying about how you didn't see it but also didn't like it, I saw the first one, really enjoyed the first one. this one just like didn't hit as well with me. The first one was funny. It was like totally fine for me. I haven't seen it since, but it was still like fun. It was exciting. You know, it's whatever. But this one was just like, even towards the beginning, I was just kind of bored.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know what. I don't know. It felt like they just went totally off pace from the first one, especially with Ant-Man himself. Because in the first one, he's like this super cool, like break-in con man guy, and so he's really good at breaking into houses. Like he breaks into Hank Pym's house and everything, and he's like this cool like crook basically. And then in this one, they just kind of make him this bumbling idiot who's kind of just there. And one of the biggest things to me was that he just kind of was there to ruin everything of the plan. Like anytime there was a plan set out of like, this is what we're gonna do, and this is gonna happen, he would just kind of like planned around it himself and ruined it. Yeah. Which there was the part of like the whole house arrest thing where he wasn't supposed to be pulled out, but they pulled him away to help with the mission of getting Hope's mom back. So like that's different. Like I can understand that part of like, hey, I need to get back to my house arrest thing, but it was like every time there was something major going on, like, oh, now we have the lab back, or now we have the suit, or now we have to fight ghosts. It was just like he was always doing like the opposite of what I thought he should have been doing compared to the first one, where it's like he's a smart guy. He learned how to use the suit pretty darn quickly. Yeah. Like he was really good with the suit. And then this one, it was just like his suit's malfunctioning, and so that's kind of funny. And then he's planning around it, and he's got the house arrest thing, and then his ex-con friends are having this plan, so he's got to go do that. It was just kind of, they didn't know what to do with him, kind of, because they wanted Hope to be a bigger character. You know, because you got to fit Ant-Man and the Wasp in this. Yeah. As well as have the story of her dad and mom in it. Which then you have to expose who they were, the original Ant-Man and Wasp. It was a lot of stuff. It was so much. But, I mean, at the same time, they didn't really do any of it. You know what I mean? Like, it's like so much had to happen. And it felt like so much of this time was just consumed by these silly things. Ant-Man messing things up, or you know, various little like, oh, I gotta get back to my house. And then he spends like 5 minutes arguing with them about how he has to get back. And it's like, they're not even listening, dude, you know? And then there's just a lot of little time wasters, I feel, that like really, I mean, and that's the thing. I think that you need some breaking up of a lot of things, right? Like horror films, they do this where they give you a little bit of relief because you can't just constantly be in a state of horror. Right? So then it makes sense that it's not all just supposed to be like this straight, what we want to see in this movie, what has to happen. There has to be a little dialogue. I did like the ex-con guys, though. They were my favorite part of the movie. Well, to me, they were way better in the first one. In this one, they just felt really tacked on. Like they were just like, okay, these guys were funny in the first one, so how are we going to fit them into the second to still be funny? But it just felt like they were just shoving them in. Like it's like, okay, quick cut back to ex-con and them like messing up the deal or something, and like let's make a joke about how poor their company is. Yeah. And it's just like they just felt so forced into the narrative. I mean, they did a little justice towards the end where they got the true serum. And that was good. That's how they ended up like finding out where the lab was again. Yeah. But just in general, they just felt like in the way a lot to me. I think that's primarily like I think they served two purposes. One, they thought they were funny in the first one, and so they wanted to reap on that success. But also, two, Ant-Man's stuck in his house for the first 20 or so minutes of this movie. Now, 20 minutes of a 2-hour-long movie, not that much time, but it is a decent amount of time. That's a sixth of the movie, you know? That he's like, I mean, he's stuck in it at certain points too. He comes back to the house, you know, and he's stuck there again for a little bit of time, I think. I don't know. It constantly kind of feels like he's almost trapped everywhere. Everywhere he's going, he's always trapped, it feels like. Because the only way for him to get back to his house is to go forward, right, in this mission, right? So he's being trapped into these bubbles, these boxes, and then just random shit just keeps happening, you know? Like, yeah, oh, Ghost again. Oh, who are these 3 guys who want the freaking lab? Yeah,
you know,
my,
like it's like
my biggest problem with this movie was basically that, where it just felt like there was so much going on and none of it was really constructive. Where if it was like I didn't get invested in the whole mom story about like we got to go save the mom, but if that was the only storyline and it was kind of just
been way more digestible.
Ghost is in the way, like shoot, this like random person or thing or whatever it is like trying to stop us or something, trying to get into the quantum realm for its own reasons or whatever. But then there was just like, we got to throw in like the mob boss and his little goons.
Yeah.
We got to throw in the ex-con guys because they were funny in the first one. We got to throw in the FBI agent because he's tracking down Ant-Man, who's supposed to be on house arrest. Then we got to throw in the daughter storyline with their family, where it's like he's got to be a good dad again, which that was like a whole thing in the first one. You know, it was just, there was so much going on, and I couldn't just stay focused on one and be invested in it. Like the mom storyline, or I mean, the whole first one was with him trying to like balance like being a good dad with the whole divorce and being Ant-Man kind of thing. And then even just small ones with him screwing up with Civil War, like how Hank and Hope were mad at him for going to Germany. And it was like, that was a whole little thing. In the beginning, it was like, oh, they're mad at him, but then they just weren't for a while, and then they were again. Like, there were so many like levels bouncing around that I couldn't just like get in it and stay in the story.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know what to focus on.
Things kept interjecting.
Yeah.
You know, it felt like we were constantly being interrupted from watching this film, honestly.
And like with Ghost too, like I don't know why that wasn't just a main point of we got to save the mom, and then Ghost is getting in the way. Like, why did you need the mob boss getting in the way? Yeah. And that was one of my points, was that he was fine as like this like kind of creepy guy who's they're buying parts from. Yeah. But then it should have ended there. Why did he have to be around the rest of the movie? Yeah. Like, what? He didn't serve anything other than another chase. Yeah. It was just like, anytime he popped back up, I was getting annoyed, especially when it was like, now he has connections with the FBI agent. Yeah. And then that just tied in the FBI agents, who I didn't like either, who they're just kind of in the way all the time, which you said interjecting. Like, it was like, we were in the storyline of, okay, they're making progress on getting the mom back. And then it's like, oh no, the FBI agent guy is like going to show back up at my house for some reason. Yeah. And then they have to run back over there, and then he has to act like he's sick. He's
constantly talking about it too. He's constantly like, guys, I gotta go home. And it's like, dude, shut up, bully. I get it. We all remember. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's why I didn't think they needed the FBI guys to keep coming back. Yeah. If it was like, at first, he stuck his leg out of the fence, and then they show up and we see, okay, they mean business. He just barely left his house and they're showing up. Then it's like, have him say throughout the movie, I gotta get back. And Hope even said, well, like, just help us with this and then we'll get you back in plenty of time. Yeah. Like, just have that whole thing happen, and then have this silly scene of him getting back just in time to get the ankle thing. Yeah. Like, why did we need the FBI coming back and forth?
I mean, why did we need I almost got that? You know, like, why did we? Because the worst thing that I felt was when they're like just about to go into like the deep realm or whatever, like the quantum space. Quantum realm. Yeah. They're like, oh, we're almost there, and he's like, listen, they're on their way to my house. I have to leave. See ya. And she's like, yeah, you know, she's pissed, you know, and she's like, I can't believe you would do this to me. It's like, look, girl, you know, there's things called priorities, and I've got some. Like, and it just upset me. It's like, it felt so artificial, and then he felt bad about it instantly. He was like, God, man, what should I do? And then like his daughter was in on it too. She was like, yeah, you should go help her. His daughter was adorable though.
That girl was so cute.
When she said, don't laugh, right? When he's like,
and her eyebrows like kind of like scrunched up.
Yeah, I literally died on the inside. I was like, oh my God, how could I? That girl was so cute. Oh my God.
But I kind of liked that it's like he's got that little partner thing, because in the whole first one it's like, oh, I got to be a good dad kind of thing, because he's a criminal, you know, and he's like, oh, I got to like take care of my kid or whatever, and they have a good chemistry together. They're just those two actors, Paul Rudd and whoever the girl is. And so I liked that. I didn't really like it at first, where I was like, oh, I kind of don't like that everyone just knows it. But going through and towards the end, I was like, okay, I'm actually really glad she's there to kind of be that little talking point, especially when she's like, why can't I be your partner? Like,
Yeah.
she's like, you need a partner. He's like, yeah, I know, but Hope's like mad at me. She's like, no, I meant me. Like,
Yeah.
That part was super cute.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like the FBI and the mob boss guy really just got on my nerves the whole time, because they just, anytime they were there, they didn't feel like they needed to be there.
Yeah.
Where it just felt like it was interrupting the story, and
If
I
only.
wanted to just get back to the main thing, especially with Ghost. I really wanted to see like what that was all about, and then
Wait, really?
yeah, Ghost was really intimidating to me.
God, I hated Ghost. She was just
Okay, but what about before she took the helmet off? Because you know I have a thing with helmets. We learned from watching Solo.
Yeah.
But before
no,
that,
yeah, it was dope as hell with the helmet.
yeah.
But then they literally cast it off immediately and were like, now I'm in this chamber because I'm in pain right now. You know, that's the first thing you
I
see.
was
It's
so
like,
sick of her saying it hurts so much.
yeah, and I mean, like, you know, it's like when she says like my body is literally like breaking itself
Yeah, it was, like,
apart and
splitting apart, yeah.
reconstructing itself like hundreds and hundreds of times. That's like, okay, that's pretty metal. But like,
You just thought she was kind of like angsty and kind of annoying.
she had this personality to her that was just awful. It made sense given the fact that this girl literally died, both her parents died, and she's been experiencing excruciating pain since then. But come on. Look, I don't want to hear this girl talk anymore. I want her to die. At the end, I wanted her to die.
Oh yeah, she definitely wasn't a good villain, but as like a character of like what was going on with her, I wanted to see where they would go with it. I guess I should say from like the first half. Like towards the end, she did get kind of annoying to me. Like it was just like she's kind of repeating the same thing, and then she's like saying she's gonna kidnap his daughter, and then she's just getting really upset. And I can
Yeah.
understand because she's saying like I have
And-
like days left to like before I actually just die and split apart.
And here's the thing. It's like we were talking about. She's interjecting in this storyline now too, where she's not. You realize at this past halfway point, you realize she's not even a part of this story. That she's interjecting by trying to stop them from saving their mom, and then literally moments after she's saved, she helps her. Now, obviously, how is she gonna know that her mother's just gonna like zap her head and she'll be fine?
Yeah.
But listen, like whatever, it just didn't make sense. Like, why would you fuck with the people who know more about what's going on with you than you do? You know?
Yeah, and that's what makes her like a bad villain.
Yeah.
Because, you know, bad
she's
villains,
counteracting herself.
when villains are super bad like that is when they don't like think ahead of their plan.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay, why would you be doing that when you can just stop for half a second and like think about it? That was basically what like Lawrence Fishburne's character was trying to do. Was, I mean, he was helping her first and saying like, oh, yeah, I'll help you, and I'll like kind of double cross Hank and get his tech and whatever. But then once he was like, okay, you're going a little too far with this, then he was saying like, let's just slow down a second. I'm sure Hank can help you.
Yeah.
Like he started to switch.
Yeah.
And
Because she's like, this girl's crazy.
he was actually kind of a. At first I really 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 enjoyed his character. When they first walk into his like office, I loved the back and forth between the chemistry of him and Ant-Man and him and Hank. I thought it was really like funny, and they seemed like old like colleagues to me.
Yeah.
At least where they're like they have that relationship of we have an established relationship where we work together, but now we kind of like have bad blood for each other.
For like that first
You know?
half of that interaction, I agreed. Until literally it went to that interaction where it was like,
He was gonna hit him, like when Hank was gonna hit him.
no, it was like when, well, that as well, that was just soured
That's
the
where it
whole
turned for me,
experience.
yeah.
But like when Hank was like, yo, you were just really bad at what you did, and then he's like, Hank couldn't stand anyone doing anything that
Well,
he
that's
didn't
what I
like.
liked
You know,
about
no,
it.
but it went like for 5 comments back and forth where Hank's just shitting on this guy, and you know, he's just like, Hank's an asshole. You know? And it's like, okay, 3 would have been perfect. But 2 more and you sour the whole interaction. It's like, wow.
I still
This
thought
guy's
it was
literally
funny.
trying to just
Because it
deflect.
felt like old colleagues that had worked together and still have bad blood to each other. For me, at least, it felt like it was just kind of like,
I think it just stepped on something that I just was like, you know, that's
maybe,
this
I don't
isn't
know.
fun.
I
mean,
thought the whole
it was really close.
I thought the whole interaction was super funny because it's like he's really interested in what Ant-Man's doing and like the size that he got to and all that stuff was like the little
That was cool.
size
Yeah,
joke.
I like that.
Like he was interested in the science of it, and I really liked that. And then the whole like they have this like this history, Hank and him, and I love that. The whole office part I really enjoyed. And then when the FBI shows up and he's like questioning him where they are, and he says, I haven't talked to him in 30 years. And the FBI says, like, why should we believe that? And he said, because I hate his guts. Like,
yeah, that
whatever.
I
liked that because it was just, he was helping them.
Think about it, though. Think about it. You're doing your job as an FBI director, and you have to figure out why in God's name should I actually believe that you're telling the truth? Oh, because I hated the dude.
It's not a good reason, but it's still, like, it just felt normal to me to be like, because I hate him.
Yeah, it just felt weird that he was like building it up, you know? He's like sitting there and he's like acting all moody. He's like, yeah, I don't know. I guess it's just because of like what was he talking about? He was saying to the dude, he's like, okay, and why would that be that you wouldn't? It's like, oh, I wouldn't really want to talk
FBI.
to him right now. And then he's like, oh, and why don't you explain that to me? He's like, because we hate each other. It's like, why didn't you just say, no, I hate that dude. Why would I call him? And then they've saved 30 seconds of their lives. I mean, I don't know. It just seemed like a weird moment to like. We've been going over this whole like, we hate each other.
I think
for the
it's
last,
supposed
like,
to show that
as the viewers, we've seen them quipping for like 15 minutes, and then it's like at the end he's trying to play it coy, like, oh, I don't know why.
Because I
Maybe
think you're
it's 'cause we
supposed
hate each
to.
other.
They're supposed to say that like. Now they have to inform the FBI that they hate each other. Like it's really just driving the point across. It's like because they had to show that he is covering for them. Like he's not going to rat them out. But then it's also kind of just summarizing the whole last interaction of being like,
in case you
I'm
use the
covering
restroom.
for them. I'm covering for them, but I hate him. And which basically foreshadows into my problem with him, which was I loved him in the scenario of them talking in the office. I thought he was super cool. It's just like a cool scientist guy that they were ex-colleagues. But then you find out that he's helping Ghost. And then his character just went totally downhill to me. Like he was this cool scientist guy.
I respected everyone in that room a little less when he walked in. Like everyone's character just got demeaned because
like,
you know.
It's just like, why is he there? Why does he have to be a bad guy? He seems like really cool.
Honestly, everyone seemed like a dumbass in this movie. Now that I think about it, like literally everyone was so stupid. I don't even have any quantifiers for that. I'm thinking about all these characters. They all seem like they just make stupid mistakes.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying in the beginning, where it's like Ant-Man was smart. Like he was a cool guy, and I wanted to see how he kind of grew from the convict into being a superhero. And then this one, they just made him kind of stupid. You know, he was just bumbling and messing everything up.
He was definitely the best character in the movie, though.
I thought Hope was.
Oh no, she was like second worst.
What?
No, actually, she's like fifth worst.
What are you What is your list?
I think it goes. Worst was Ghost.
Worse than the mob boss guy?
Oh yeah, then the mob boss guy.
She was worse than mob boss and FBI?
Yes, because at least mob boss had some real fucking. He didn't just say "I'm hurting" all the fucking time, and he didn't act moody all the time. Like, I'm edgy.
For Ghost, at least, her like cool aspect upped it for me. Where it was like, okay, that outfit was cool. So badass.
Not once she lost the mask.
Still, the outfit was cool.
No.
Yeah, like the like nylon or whatever.
She just looked too stupid.
See, that's what I'm saying with helmets. If you guys have listened to the solo episode, you know I hate removing helmets.
What was it? Baby's nest, infant's nest,
infant's nest. It just ruins it. Now you see where it's like that would have been such a cool character if we didn't find out until the very end or whatever.
No, it would have ruined the whole thing. I wish that Ghost had just died.
I don't mean like very end. I just mean like.
No, I mean I just wish.
Because we see her fight and it's like, oh my god, what the heck is this?
Yeah.
And then she gets back and takes the mask off.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what?
And then like, I don't know. We were introduced too early to her weakness. That's what I think the biggest problem was.
Yeah, because it seems like a power.
Yeah.
But then you learn it's.
And then you learn instantly. It's
that's
like,
really
wow,
interesting.
This sucks.
Yeah, I didn't really think about that.
Because most
wow, that's
villains.
Yeah.
Most villains.
I immediately thought it was a power.
Yeah. You don't see like their weakness, you know, their kryptonite. You know, you don't see that until like almost about when the hero finds it out. You know, like you're given a little bit of an inkling of, oh, look at this. You know, this guy doesn't like water, or he hates color yellow, or you know something. You know, and so it just felt like it was instantly like, wow, this is the most badass OP person, and then it's like, wait, she sucks though because she's gonna die in like 2 days.
Because it seems like she has like some sort of tech from Hank. Like maybe it's like some sort of they were partners or something where it's like
okay, and not to be like, because this is a very slippery slope. But what in God's name was the scientific explanation of that shit? That shit didn't make no sense.
Of her phasing.
Oh, thing? I was right in front of this really warped area, and it killed both my parents, but somehow me, a child, I still lived, but I became a quantum beast that would go in and out. It's like, and I know.
I mean, it's some sort of malfunction. You can't really,
I know. It's a slippery slope, and if you're gonna start nitpicking at one thing, you gotta nitpick it at all. All I wanted to say was, instantly when I saw that explanation, I'm like, really? I would have rather just not known.
Well,
you could have just not told me.
It depends on where they stopped the explanation. If the explanation went to, there was a...
My parents died in their beginning.
Well, no, if it was just like, there was a weird genetic or quantum malfunction thing, and now I have this. But they went too far with it to me, where it's like, she was... Like, the dad was there, but she got right in front of it, but the other two died, but she didn't. Like, that's where it got muddy to me, where it's like she was there.
I think the key to these things... I think in Spider-Man, remember Sandman? How he became Sandman?
Yeah. Yep.
You know? And they don't explain it ever. And I like that. It leads your imagination fills in the gap. But when you explain all of it, then you're in this abrupt situation of, if it's not a good explanation... I would have rather not heard it.
Well, and that's what I meant by exposition. It's like, I didn't feel like I needed that backstory, especially the flashback, where it's like, okay, we have to see it happening. And, you know, I mean, obviously they have to do that to, like, help explain for some viewers of, like, you know, they don't fully understand the whole story. But, yeah, like, there was just so much explanation for it that I felt like I didn't need.
Yeah, it was just so draining.
That's what I meant. Like, Ghost was cool, but it wasn't a good character. Like, I'll definitely give it that.
It had its points.
But she did start to really annoy me towards the end.
Yeah.
Especially where it was like, I'm going to kidnap the kid, but then I'm not, but then I'm getting really pissed, and then I'm going to fight them every time I see them. And then she's like basically trying to kill the mom, where I'm going to harness her energy thing.
Yeah.
You know, like she wasn't listening to anybody, where like we were saying earlier with Bill, where he was saying, let's just wait and let Hank like get her out, and then we'll see if we can go from there. But she was like, no, I need to do it like now, when he had clearly said you have a couple weeks.
Yeah.
And it had only been 4 hours.
Yeah. Yeah. and like, come on, let's be honest, that was fucking quick timing.
Yeah, like she got a little too in the way. Same with like what I've said before about the other characters too. Like, she really had my attention at first, even with the mask off. I mean, it ruined it at first where the mask came off, but I was still interested because I was like, okay, what's with the phasing? What's with the whole like tube thing? Like, why does she want the lab? But then, like you said about the explanation, once we found out why she wanted the lab, then her whole character was basically just done.
And I mean, like, here's the thing. You know, you can relate with this character a lot. You know, you can think about it and be like, man, that's honestly a very fresh and genuine thing that I think most people would actually have done something similar to Ghost, because she was just in so much pain. And if you're in that much excruciating pain, people will do a lot of things to get out of pain. But it was strange. Because here's the thing, another thing I just realized, there were so many time crunches. There was a time limit on all of these things. Like every single organization, let's call them. So like, you know, the group of Hank and Ant-Man and Hope. That group, and then there was so Mob Boss, FBI, Ghost, and then our dynamic trio. Those 4 people all had time constraints. The FBI only had a certain time frame where they'd be there, and like they could capture them. Ant-Man obviously had his own time frame. Hope and Hank had their time frame of their wife / mother. Mob Boss was like, well, I need my money. I want money. I promised this to big people, and they're gonna have my head. I don't know.
But he didn't though. That's what
he did. He said I made some promises to some very important people.
No. But he didn't. He wasn't like in debt or anything. His whole thing was, I want in, because I mean he was even totally wrong about the situation, because he thought they were harnessing quantum energy for like energy purposes, and he's like, I want part of that money. And Hope's just like, I'm just trying to save my mom. That's why he was just so stale too, because he wasn't even
not
part
the
of the thing.
Character, though.
Who was?
Ghost.
I don't know.
It was such a dull...
I'm definitely biased because I thought she was pretty badass. Like, with the suit and the phasing, like, I thought that was pretty darn
As soon
cool.
as she took off the mask,
No, I know, I
like,
totally get it. I'm just saying I'm a little more biased because I thought it was pretty badass.
I'm growing a little bit more towards attached to Ghost, not the girl. You know, the girl who's inside the... Yeah, like, Ghost was awesome. The girl was not.
Yeah,
and
she was,
she
like,
only
angsty
was
and
Ghost for, like...
Well, especially when, towards the end, when they were fighting and Ant-Man's doing the misdirection to her, where, you know, she's, like, kind of just walking around, like, she's intimidating. He's running around because he can't remorph and whatever. Or he can't change size. And she's just, like, phasing through the wall and through the table. You know, there's that table with all the stuff on it, and it looks like she's just going to flip it, like, you know, a classic thing does, and she just walks right through it.
I was so bored at that point. I was like, please, be this the one thing that you actually flip. Please,
really?
come on.
I thought it was
and then
cool
she walked through it, and I was like, really?
I thought that was cool.
You set this shot
You
up.
automatically assume she's going to flip, and then you just phase right through it.
But she was just walking this whole time. Ant-Man's running around and shit. He's like, and then she's just walking. And it's like, what is this? The slowest chase ever?
Well, I mean, I think it's supposed to be starting to hurt, and like she's trying to get
what
down
it's
the
supposed to be.
last
She's
little
like, she's done. She's done with the games, Ant-Man.
Which, that part I did like too, where it's like, the whole time he could have morphed, but it was the misdirection. It was the only time that joke of him doing card games and the online magic school thing was actually funny to me. Where it was like, okay, that was kind of clever.
That was the joke that kept on giving.
And and then the FBI guy, like,
dude,
the FBI guy,
the FBI agent was trying to do it.
That was so dumb.
was so fucking funny.
Like I said, where it's like Ant-Man is a bumbling idiot. That FBI guy.
He wasn't an idiot.
Yes, he was.
No. Don't you?
Yes.
I'm not gonna let you disrespect my boy.
He was so dumb.
No.
Yes.
It was unfortunate circumstances he's placed in.
No. He's an idiot.
You're an idiot. God.
Oh, well, and talking about that fight with Ghost, like walking through the table and stuff, like that whole sequence, that part really got on my nerves towards the whole ending, because it just felt like it should have been over way faster, because it was misdirection after misdirection of who is doing what and who is chasing what.
Who had the...
Because there was so many times that the lab was between the 3-4 different parties, like you were talking about.
Yeah.
Then it was like there was the chase of who's got what and who are they chasing.
The remote came into play.
Then the remote.
Just too many things. Really, there were so many.
Because there were so many parties like that would have it.
And there were so many items. You know, it was that little like, you know, power thing that they needed for the thing originally. With the one that they were trading Mob Boss with.
Yeah, the little part.
And then there was the lab, and then there was the remote, and then they just kept adding shit.
That wasn't even a part. Like, that was a specially designed slot for them to put in and turn.
Yeah,
like,
I was thinking about that. Yeah.
She made it sound like it's like, oh, we need to like somehow work this into the system, or it's some sort of like metal that they need, or like, you know, something. But it's just like this tablet you just slide in and turn.
Well, I think they made it pretty clear that it was just like a part that was necessary for quantum things.
But it's like,
I'm like, who else is doing this?
Yeah,
that it's like, you need one quantum entanglement
it's like
chamber?
You ordered it off Amazon. It's like, okay, here, plug it in and play. Like,
and then my favorite thing was, if they didn't have one, how did they know this system was going to work? That they push it in and they turn it and then it turns green. You know, it's like so many moving parts of it. It's like, did they just assume they got the specs right? Oh shit, one of these ants was a little cross-eyed. Which, by the way, I've been wanting to get to this. The massive ants were awesome. I love them so much.
I hated that.
No, dude, if I could have an army of ants that huge that would build shit for me.
Maybe it's because I thought the CGI was bad.
Yeah, it was a little wonky.
Like, kind of gross.
It looked a little skimped.
Like, they definitely looked like fake ants.
Oh,
you know, and so
they didn't look real at all.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know. I
would have been uncomfortable in
especially the one at his house. The worker ants were okay. Like, it was just, you know, that's what that would happen if you can control ants. Yeah, you would make them pick up stuff because they can pick up like 500 times their weight. But the one at the house where it's just
20
like
20 times.
Okay, you're just like. You're sitting on the bed, and like the ankle brace is on his leg, and he's eating like Fruit Loops. Like, it was just a little too far for me.
When it was like when they were saying they would train him to like do the same shit that like, you know, he did. They meant like where he was spending his time.
Yeah, not the ant actually.
Yeah, he's actually eating Fruit Loops like an asshole.
Yeah, and then he's in a bath.
Yeah,
like you just
with that little like
the shower
hair
cap.
thing. Yeah, it's like what?
That's where like the ants just they were just there and they were okay. Like, I liked them when they were cornering Bill.
Oh no, that was boring as hell.
No, but I mean, like, they actually had some purpose.
Oh yeah.
Like, it was like, okay, now they're workers,
Which,
and then
real
they're
talk?
like, they get together and
If 4 huge ants like that,
Oh, yeah,
threaten
those
to
pinchers and stuff.
like bite off your leg, like just
yeah.
you know, that'd be scary as hell.
But yeah, I just the constant back and forth of who has what and who's chasing what and stuff is going wrong.
Yeah, that was so
You know,
freaking tiring.
There was too many bounces.
Yeah, it was so tiring and exhausting. I wanted to be over, and it just kept going and going and going. It was like the Energizer
Well, and
Bunny,
then stuff
you know?
would keep grow. I know that's the whole point, but it would shrink and grow and shrink and grow. Where it's like, okay, now the building's full again in the woods, and then it's like they shrink it down, and then all the FBI's there.
That was
then
kinda cool.
Then the FBI. No, I just mean like they keep doing
Yeah.
it. Where then the FBI guy takes it, and then that gets taken by ghosts, and then it gets big again. But then she has it in the car. It's in the car, and then it gets big again on the pier.
Okay,
'cause they need
yeah,
to pull it up, and
Yeah, we get it.
and then meanwhile, like Hank is down in the quantum realm, and they need to get it big again so that he can come back out. But it's already small
Wait,
right now.
shouldn't, according to the rules of the thing, shouldn't Hank be like extra small because they're shrinking the building that he's in? Because
No,
when they
'cause-
shrink the cars, they all get small. So since Hank's inside the building, and the building
No,
shrinks,
it's not
he
based-
should get extra
It's not
small.
based on where you are. They're in. It's a portal to the realm.
But the realm is existent, not in like some like this isn't actually a quantum thing. It's just so small that nothing actually really exists down there.
Yeah, so he's the smallest. It doesn't
So
multiply.
it makes him
It's the
smaller, but he's
same
still
realm.
in the same building.
No, but it doesn't multiply based on what you're in.
Yes, it does. Because when they go in the car and they shrink down, they shrink with the car. So theoretically,
Yeah, but if you go to quantum, it's the smallest. So you're already at the smallest.
but then,
So it doesn't matter.
but then
what
when
you're
when they made it big again, he should have gotten bigger.
That's what was happening. That's why he needed to get out when the building was big again. Because he was the smallest that you could possibly
I'm talking.
get.
No, yeah, I know, but they were shrinking and growing that when he was in the quantum.
Yeah.
So when you shrink, yeah, you can't go any smaller than quantum because it's the smallest unit.
Yes.
But when you go bigger, he should have gotten bigger.
No,
so
because
he should have crushed his wife
because
in
he's
that-
already in quantum, so he's the smallest you can get.
No, it's not getting smaller. It's getting bigger because he's growing with the building.
But you can't get bigger because you're already the smallest. Like, the realm keeps you small.
No, okay. Let me just pitch this idea to you.
Which,
This is,
by
this
the
is
way,
the exact same.
So he goes in to save the wife into the quantum realm.
No.
But no, hang on. But why the quantum realm? I thought was the whole dark space where it's just like silent and dark. But why was she chilling in this like acid trip realm? Like I thought she was in quantum realm.
That is quantum realm.
No, the quantum realm was the silent realm.
No, you go really black for a while, and then you get to quantum realm.
When did they say that?
They said it like twice.
I don't remember that.
But it was one of those things where it's like, yeah, that darkness is insane, man. Ugh. I'm telling you, though, what you're saying right now is it's like, you're saying like, okay, we're at 0 Kelvin, right? Like, so, like, you know, absolute 0. So we cannot go any colder. But that means we can't get warmer. What? No. That means you can only get warmer. He can only
I'm
get
just
bigger
saying-
from quantum.
No, you're it's not based on what you're sitting in. It is
Yes,
with the
it
car, but once you go that small,
No, it still sees
he's
you.
He's not in. Okay, with the wife. Remember in the very beginning,
Yeah.
with the wife, she goes into the quantum realm of the metal.
Yeah.
That she's going into the metal of the fibers of what makes up the metal. They just went into a portal that just put you in the quantum realm. So they weren't going into the building. They were just ported into a.
Oh, okay.
a
That
portal.
makes sense.
Yeah, so he wouldn't get smaller or bigger based on the building.
She should have
'Cause it's
drowned
just-
in that place. That went in the water and shit. I saw it happen.
Water.
The missile went in the water, and so she was in that metal.
Oh.
Which, by the way, when we first saw her, she had a fucking like spear on her back. What is she hunting in this quantum realm? What has she been eating?
Yeah, well, it's the same thing as like she got the different outfit too, because she was in the Wasp outfit, and then she's got these kind of nomad little hoods on.
What the hell
stuff.
happened to her?
Yeah, it was really weird how they handled that. About like wouldn't she like? Okay, I thought they would just find her like floating,
Yeah?
but then they were like,
They were on like a thing.
no. Well, even before that, I thought they were just like, they would find her somehow, maybe like in her suit or whatever, and they would just find her basically in a coma, just floating in the quantum realm. I thought she would just be comatose, and they would find her and bring her back.
Because they made it sound like if you go that small, your mind gets frayed. It's
yeah,
fucked.
I thought she would just be basically fried. And
yeah,
just
so
in a
the
coma.
only way that she would like come
But
out
instead,
alive
she's
is...
totally sentient, and
she
they-
has powers.
Well, and they totally blew it away by. I mean, that makes sense because you're in the smallest realm. You'd be soaking up energy.
What?
I understand that part. You'd be soaking up some sorts of energy. I don't think it's right. I don't think she should have had powers. I can buy that at least a little bit.
Okay.
But I mean,
See where you're going with it.
but I mean, when they were trying to find her, and then you find out that there's an antenna in his head when he was in the quantum realm in Ant-Man's head. That part was just so stupid, ridiculous to me.
You mean the part where he's acting like her?
Well, even before that, when
okay.
he had the dream,
Yeah.
and you end up finding
Yeah,
out it's
because
an
this guy's
antenna.
never met her.
It's like, why couldn't she just like hold on to him or something when he went back into normal size? Like, why would you put an antenna in his head to wait many years later since the first movie of like, it was just like, why would you put an antenna in? Why wouldn't you just like wake him up or just talk to him? If you saw him floating around,
Oh, it's because they needed to trace it back to where she actually was. Because they
then
didn't
how
know
did
where
she
she
get
was.
an antenna in him. I thought she saw him
Yeah, I don't know.
because like
Maybe they just happen to meet each other in the quantum realm.
That's what I mean. Like, why
Because
didn't she just
it's
go with
actually
him?
a pretty small world when you think about it.
It was just
I
weird.
actually-
Like, I didn't how they handled all of that. And then, like you said, where she's in a different outfit, she hasn't been eating. I just thought they would be like, we found her suit somehow, and then let's go get her. And then she's floating around comatose, and then he has to like go grab her, and then they come back out. And then it's like, wow, what's happened, or whatever. And then like, I don't know if you wanted like a time travel sort of thing where it's like she hasn't aged at all, or however you want to do it. Maybe she's aged way more because she's been smaller. I don't know. But it was just weird how she was just down there hunting in this little world like microbes or whatever. Like, especially when the whole movie and the first movie, they're saying like a human can't survive down there. And then it's like, no, I've been down here for like 35 years, whatever.
Yeah.
And then she just gets into his head and takes over his body.
Yeah. Now, tell me that was your favorite part of the
No,
movie.
I hated it.
Yeah, it was awful. It was fucking horrible.
Because by then I was just already kind of done.
Like, I was watching him, and he seemed like, God, if this was literally anywhere else in the movie, it'd be half decent. Because he was just rocking that shit. He was acting it pretty well, I think. But fuck, that shit was so crazy.
If it had been earlier, if it was like, that's how they found out that she was still alive, but way earlier, of like,
But then
okay,
it would
here's
have
what I
ruined the
did.
surprise of, oh my God, she is still alive. They couldn't be like...
that was one of my points, is that they spoiled that she was alive anyways, because she's on all of the marketing posters. Like, you just look at the poster, like, on the cup, she's right there. Like, she's right next to Ant-Man. You can see her right now. Like, it's like, oh, I wonder if my mom's still alive. And the poster has her on it.
Honestly, one of the most disappointing parts of this movie, the fight scenes were awful.
Yeah, they were a little, like, normal. The kitchen fight scene was the only good one.
No, that was the worst one.
That was the only one.
No.
Of a fight scene?
No, there was the one where at the end when she's wrecking people in the cars. That was way more Deadpool-y kind of thing. That I was getting that vibe.
I
yeah,
forgot about
that was
Okay,
a good
that one
scene.
was better.
That was a good fight scene. I
mean,
like that
But
fight
then they
scene.
spoiled it in the trailer where she swings through the window.
I literally... All I want to say is, like, it was just so tiring. It was exhausting to watch the exposition, even as someone who hadn't watched the first movie, and that's who it was geared for. It was exhausting to listen to the scientific explanations of every little detail, when I agree it would have been much more fluid and enjoyable if they had done something cool where this guy's not even saying the words. He's just going through his lab and he's pulling out gadgets and looking at this shit and it's like, oh no. And he says like maybe 3 things and then he's really just most of the time just like, hands it off to an ant and he goes and puts it away, or he does something and then this ant has to, something interesting, something visual. Because when it's just auditory, it's just exhausting. And then thirdly, it was exhausting, this fiesta for the freaking, this hot
bouncing back
potato
and
with
forth.
this lab, This is a building, guys.
Oh, you were talking about, if Hank was shrunken down in the building, like we had that whole argument. But all I could think when they were tossing it around was, wouldn't his gear, like all the stuff inside is shrunken? So like if you tilt it, it's gonna slide. Like that's all I could think was that like because everything in there. Is
Oh
still
yeah,
there.
yeah.
You know, when you pick up the car out of the Hot Wheels thing, I love that part.
Yeah,
he had
cool.
the little like Hot Wheels.
I
thing,
was
and you could pick his.
I was
different cars and
100%
stuff.
certain that the guy would throw it back and make them all big. That would have been genius.
Oh, like instead of the Pez.
Yeah, instead
Like
of the
doing
Pez,
that part-
he just
part
threw
thing.
out the box and made them all big, and then that's a lot of cars that
Yeah.
you can't drive around. You know, that would have
That
been perfect.
Pez part was. I thought this in the trailer too. It was so out of place.
Dude, I thought it was so cool though.
I hated it. Like, okay, maybe make it something other than Hello Kitty. I don't know. It was the bright color, where it was just like
Yeah.
a giant red and pink.
I wasn't
like,
even
thing.
watching it. I was just watching these dudes react to it.
I don't know. It was just like too much. For
I
me.
mean, it was really strange. And he's like, "Whoa, you just got pezzed." That's
Yeah.
kind of his character though. Is like,
yeah, he's funny. It was just It just felt like they were trying to tack him into the movie.
I wish they had like a spin-off movie where it's just those three.
Well, you would like the first one then, because he's in it way more, and he's got way more funny parts to it. And that whole thing where he's rambling in the True Serum, that's from the first movie.
Really?
And he does it not on True Serum. Like he just does that where he's like he tells a funny story. And
Yeah, I could tell that when he was telling
remember
it.
when
They're like, "Oh yeah, he
they
does
flash
this."
back to them in prison, and he's mouthing over the words. You know, like that whole bit where he's telling the story, but he's mouthing over the words. That's from the first movie. That's how he tells a story, and the visuals go back to that. But this time he's just on True Serum. So you would like the first one because of that, because he's in it. He's very funny in it. But in this one, he just felt forced. Like they're like, he's funny in the first
He
one.
didn't
throw him
have a
back
place in this movie.
Yeah, and then like even the ex-con like company in itself is just like a weird another time crunch thing that you were talking about, where it's like, okay, like I'm starting a company, but like we need to have the pitch in by the morning.
Yeah.
So it's like he's on house arrest and he needs to get back in time for the cops. Then we need to save the mom by this time, but then he needs to get back and help them with the sales pitch by this time.
And then his desk is garbage. Oh my.
Yeah. That part was kind of funny because they're like, you weren't here to pick it out.
Yeah.
And it's like, I was on house arrest for 2 years.
Yeah.
I liked that part.
That was funny. Yeah.
So, I don't know. Overall, like, I kind of, like, I enjoyed it, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
It was really, really bite-sized little enjoyment. It's like, that's kind of fun.
There was some very few parts of it that I found funny and would watch again, but it's hard to see, like, watching this full thing again.
Yeah, and I mean, in my opinion, I don't think that there's a chunk big enough and, like, juicy enough, if I'm going to use that word.
To make
like,
the movie?
Yeah, like, well, not even to make the movie. Like, I wouldn't even do it if you gave me 45 seconds of the best part of the movie. I would still be like, there's a lot of fluff and everywhere in it. The beginning was really good. Once they got past the exposition and they were just purely going into like, hey, this is how he plays with his daughter, and look, wow, he can't leave. He's a creative dude.
I thought the middle was the best. Like the second act, like the beginning was too much exposition. The end was just too much bouncing around of what's going on.
Of course.
The middle was kind of like they're figuring out problems, and like when they went to the middle school and like he finally got his suit back kind of thing. Like that whole part I thought
that was just boring. The whole movie he's struggling with that suit. Why won't it ever fucking
I know,
work?
right? Like, and then
I just wanted to see him.
They got the old one back too, where they're like, oh, like, which by the way, he obviously didn't destroy it.
Of course.
Like
anybody who thinks that, like, that was so obvious.
Yeah, he's like, oh no, like it was your life's work. I'm sorry.
Admittedly, I should have seen it, but I didn't see that it was in there.
It was a trophy.
It was so obvious.
Yeah, because he's like, it never leaves the house. You can't take it to hide and seek, show and tell.
This guy's like, I'd do anything with my daughter.
Yeah.
But like, whoa, no.
Which then she just takes it anyways. Like, wait.
That doesn't seem like her either.
Yeah, I thought the middle was probably the most enjoyable for me. I don't know, but it was still like enjoyable. But I definitely had some flaws with it. Where, I mean, as you can see, but it was just kind of messy to me. Overall, that's like the main word I can think of it is just kind of messy, clunky.
Clustered.
I don't know. There was no good villain. Like there was basically 3 villains.
Everyone was a villain in this movie.
Ghost, FBI, and the mob boss guy.
But then there was also Hope.
She was not a villain.
She was a villain.
She was the best part of the movie to me.
No, dude, that's wrong. The little girl,
at least kind of interesting.
the daughter's the best part.
No, but that's what I mean. Ant-Man, they made him worse. He wasn't as cool as the first one.
But
Hope got better. Because Hope in the first one, she was just there. She didn't even do anything.
Yeah, that's what she was in this movie.
No, she was at least fighting and kind of a badass with wings. But I don't know. Overall, it was just a little rough for me.
Yeah. Very rocky, very bumpy, honestly. I think that there was a very wholesome parts in there. I really enjoyed the kind of... When it was simple, I liked it, you know? But when they got in with the scientists, you know, when, like, Hank and Hope, like... It was too... Even from that point, it was too messy.
I mean, like I said earlier, I feel like it should have just been... He's on house arrest because of Civil War, which I like that tie-in. It was subtle. But then they ruined it by having the FBI guy say that whole spiel to the daughter. I mean, it was funny, but it was just too long.
Oh, yeah, like totally.
I like the tie-in to Civil War, where, like, hey, you're under house arrest because of the Accords. Like, I liked that tie-in. And then... I think it should have just been that was the last time you saw the FBI guy until maybe like around the end where they take the ankle bracelet off, and then it's
2/3, 3/4.
Yeah, like, and then they try to help the mom and find the mom, and that meanwhile Ghost is some villain for some reason trying to stop them, or
who never takes off
harness
their mask.
the energy. Yeah, like maybe harnessing the energy of the quantum or whatever. Like they're after
we don't
different
know.
things.
You know, that's the thing about masked people. You don't need to know their motive.
You just don't know about masked people.
Yeah.
You gotta watch out for those.
Yeah.
Okay. If you guys wanted to let us know your thoughts on Ant-Man or any movie that we have reviewed or reviewed in future, you can email us at themidnightshowingpod@gmail.com. You can hit us up on Twitter at showingmidnight. Our Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube are all the same thing at The Midnight Showing. You can follow us on all of those social media so we can start growing a little movie community here of just having a fun conversation about the movies that we see. So thanks everyone for listening, and we'll talk to you guys later.